before I jump in and show you all the amazing things that we've made in AROYA, I want to talk about why we built this system. We made AROYA to continuously improve grams per square foot per year at cannabis production facilities. In order to explain how it works, I'm going to talk about how it's set up, how it's used, and then how it drives that metric for your business. I'm not going to explain absolutely everything about the system. I'm just going to talk about the highlights and get you to that point of grams per square foot per year in just a few minutes. So let's dive in and do that. Where it starts is, first of all, how your facility is set up. So here in AROYA is a typical facility. This is our demo facility. This would look like your setup, your flower rooms, your bedrooms, based on your blueprint. But in our demo here, we have 2 flower rooms, 1 bedroom and 1 dry room. And once we have the rooms set up, we can actually start installing sensors in those rooms. So our sensors look like this. This is an atmospheric sensor. We also have light sensors, and then we have substrate sensors. So these sensors are actually measuring what's going on in the root zone of the plant. They get installed in the substrate, whatever substrate you happen to be growing in. These sensors can be installed in less than a day. And once they are installed, you will start seeing data streaming into your platform. So for example, if you set up your sensors and then you have them going in bench 1 of flower room 1, here's all your data. You have relative humidity and water content, EC, VPD, light measurements. So immediately it starts populating in the platform, but we need one more step that really makes this platform powerful, and that is that we have to actually grow plants. So in order to do that, we need to know how we want to grow these plants. And how you grow plants in AROYA, we call that a recipe. And here are some basic recipes that we have in the system. So we have an OG Kush recipe, and we have a gelato recipe. You might want to make yours broader, but we've just named them with strain names here. The OG Kush recipe has 8 separate phases, and in each of those phases, you decide what tasks need to be done. What is the lighting schedule? What are your target and alert settings for the different parameters in those phases? So for example, in the veg phase, I might want to have an alert setting for pour water EC of 6. So tell me if it ever gets over 6. But in the flower phase, I want to drive those plants harder. So my alerts and targets are going to be different. My lighting schedule is going to be different. And you set that all up in this recipe. Once your recipes are ready to go, we can start to actually grow plants. And the way that you do that in the system is to create a new harvest group. So a harvest group is a bunch of plants that are going to be grown together in your facility. So first you say, hey, I want to use this OG Kush recipe, and the plants are going to prop in the prop room, then go to the bedroom. Then let's say they're going to flower room 4, and let's say they're going to the dry room after that. And I'm just going to call this group name Demo, and now we can add plants. This is where it gets a little bit different if you are a metric or a non-metric facility. I've set up this demo to be metric, but if you're non-metric, it'll work in a similar way. You say, well, I am going to take these OG Kush plants off of this mother plant. I'm going to tag them with this metric tag. I have 100 plants, which is the max that you can have on a propagation on a group of plants prior to being mature in California. It'll be different in every state, but here are all of my plants, my OG Kush clones. So then I go to plant them in a room. These OG Kush plants are going to propagate in zone 2 of the prop room. They are going to veg in zone 3 of the veg room. They're going to go in zones 2 and 4 of the flower room, and then they're going to dry in zone 2 of the dry room. And then I review and finish. Here are all my plants. So that is how simple it is to set up a harvest group. The reason why that's so important is that once you have your harvest group, your data from the separate rooms start getting written straight to the harvest group record. Once I have those set up, I can start making journal entries about this harvest group. Hey, I put a pesticide application down, or I have a reading. Let's say I want to record my plant heights today, and my prop plants are really small. They're only 3 inches. And then that gets recorded straight to the journal. Or I say, hey, somebody needs to go in here and, okay, so somebody needs to come in here and de-leaf these plants. Okay, so de-leaf That's the task assigned to, let's say I need to do this task. So it's assigned to me. It's saved in the system. Now it shows up on my task list as a user. You can have this journal store whatever information you'd like. So once you have your rooms and your sensors and your recipes and your harvest groups set up, this creates a complete record for everything that's happening to these plants. Once they get harvested, then you actually measure the wet weight and the dry weight. And we have Bluetooth connected scales and water activity meters to track those things post-harvest. Once you have all of that data and AROYA automatically collects it, now you're on to the analytics. And this is where the system gets super powerful. Here are the analytics. These are the different strains that we've grown in our demo facility here. We've grown gelato 3,832 times. These are the average durations for the different phases of growth, plants per square foot, wet and dry weight yields per plant. And you can see now that we're comparing the cultivars to each other. Gelato is a relatively high wet weight yielding plant, but let's compare the dry weights here. Gelato is still the champ of dry weight. Let's go to dry weight per plant. Sour diesel is the champ there. So it allows you to compare all of the different genetics that you're growing and see over time, if I look at my gelato, am I getting better or worse at growing gelato over time? Am I changing that recipe to continuously improve that? And if you're continuously improving every strain that you're growing, that adds up to success for your facility. And AROYA allows you to do that. So now we get all the way back to grams per square foot per year. And this is looking at the entire facility and shows you how the things that you're doing are producing success at your company. It's a summation of everything that you're doing to drive success in cultivation and post-harvest processing. So this is how and why we've made this system. That's a brief overview of the AROYA platform. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't talk about, but if you're a bit like me, you might be wondering, well, that's all my data in one place, but how do I use it to continuously improve grams per square foot per year? The simple answer is through crop steering on the cultivation side and through water activity on the post-harvest side. By crop steering, what I mean is each cultivar that you're growing has a way that it likes to be grown. If you appropriately water stress it at the right phase of growth, you increase the number of bud sites on that plant, you can bulk on those bud sites, and that equals larger yields. If you dial in that process for each of your cultivars and write that back to the recipe, that's a repeatable system for increasing the grams per square foot per year on the cultivation side. Once you achieve that on the cultivation side, what you want to do is make sure that that turns into dry weight yield on the drying and curing side. Water activity is the key to doing this, and AROYA has specific places where water activity readings are integrated into those packages after harvest to make sure that the product isn't over-dried. For our clients that are using this platform and combining those two pieces, the lowest increase in per harvest yield we've achieved to date is 5 grams per square foot. I'm looking forward to working with you and your team and your facility to achieve amazing things, and thank you.